man.
Really awesome.
All right. I believe we are on.
Oh, here we go.
I think so. Just want to double check on the stream on things.
Wish I had a beard. Hey, Zach's here.
There we go. All right, we're on.
Hello.
Oh, we lost Mick.
Mick,
Come back, Mick. All right. Well, we'll get started, and then we'll introduce Mick when he comes back on. Hi, everybody. I'm Justin Zagri. I am the writer-director of Severus Snape and the Marauders. The person who just left and is going to come right back is Liana Manassian. She is the producer of Severus Snape and the Marauders. Writer-director.
Mick's back.
All right. So we got Mick Ignis, our Severus Snape. The producer of Severus Snape and the Marauders. Writer-director.
Mick's back.
All right. Guys, whoever has your, if you guys have the live stream, you gotta mute it because it's a 10-second difference. You gotta just focus on our Google Hangout.
Wait, what?
Whoever has your, if you guys
the live stream.
you gotta mute it because it's a 10-second difference. You gotta just focus on our Google Hangout. Whoever has your,
I'm watching this disaster. It's not me, is it? No, it's not me.
I think
I've only got to smooth out technical difficulties between us.
Is that good? It seemed to have fixed itself right there.
Yeah, I think we're good now.
Okay.
All right. So, hi everybody. Everyone's here. Not everyone is here. Zach's still working on it, who plays Peter Pettigrew. But again, so I'm Justin Zagri, writer-director. This is Leon Manassian. Sir. Here's Mick Ignis. He's our Snape.
Say hi, Nick. Yay.
Hello, Mick.
Here's
Hello, Mick.
Garrett. James Potter.
Tiny glass.
There you go. And I'm Remus Lupin.
There's
Whoa,
Remus.
you gonna introduce yourself?
I went for it. I jumped in.
Oh. So cool. Hey, Zach's
There's
boys.
Zach.
Oh,
And there's Zachary David, our Peter Pettigrew. Yeah.
he's just.
And we're waiting on Kevin Allen. He's going to join us later to because he's coming back from work, as well as Danny J, who plays Lily Evans. So here's the deal. I'm going to ask the first question, and basically, once everyone answers it, we'll take it from there, and we will go straight to the Q&A for the audience. And we are going to do the very best we can to keep up with everyone's questions. There's a lot of people on that chat right now.
Great. Hi, everybody.
I'm so happy to have everybody. That's awesome.
It's awesome that you guys are here. Is there any way we can see who's there, or are you just going to be taking questions from them and we're going to field them?
Well, you can look at the live stream if you want. Just make sure you keep it muted because of the time delay, and you can read their questions.
Ah, get it. I mean, I'm not doing anything. Sorry. Pay no attention to Garrett.
But yeah, we're gonna look at the questions as best as we can. We're gonna try to not let this get too chaotic, which is almost impossible, but we'll do our best. All right. So my first question for you guys is, how did you feel watching the film for the first time? Go.
Mind-blowing. I exploded, like, inside of my brain. It was so cool to watch a very good movie. Like, not just an awesome, like, Harry Potter film, but, like, a great movie. Like, I was on the edge of my seat, and I knew what was going to happen. That's my answer.
Awesome.
I don't know if there's a single word that combines both internally and externally screaming at the same time for about 26 minutes, but it was that. It was definitely that. We all pretty much kept it the entire time as far as, like, seeing the dailies and how everything was progressing. So for all of us to get together for the first time and see what we had shot literally 1 year after we had shot it, we were besides ourselves. I mean, I've seen it like 10 times now. I still love it.
Holster.
Okay, so I'm like on the live stream reading everyone's comments, and there are things like, I loved it, I died, I cried, I was skeptical at first, but then I loved it. Severus is really hot. Snape is so gorgeous. Remus in that beard. I felt all of those things while I was watching the film, and I mean, like, I can't agree with everybody.
I felt similar things about your beard.
It's wonderful. It's like seeing my childhood come true in front of me, and I'm in it. You know, so that's pretty awesome.
Awesome.
I felt good about it.
I'm glad you did. Zach.
I didn't believe it. Like, I saw it, I was like, these aren't the people that I've known for the last year and a half. These are just great actors or whatever. It's just a great movie. This has nothing to do with us, and it was us, and it's so cool. Yeah, disbelief.
Also, the special effects came out so good. That was something
Yeah,
that
seriously.
I was blown away by.
Oh, where's Kevin when you need him?
We were, you know, it's funny. We shot those.
Like, these comments are the best. I love you guys. Thank you so much.
We shot those scenes. That's us fighting in those scenes. And still, when we were all watching it for the first time, we're still acting like we were surprised by every single moment. And we're, like, cheering on all of us every single time we made, like, a move during this battle. We were so ridiculously psyched about watching this battle take place because everything the post-production guys did on this, visual effects-wise, is a shock to us. We had no idea shooting this how good this end project was going to look.
Yeah, it really brought it all together. Also, I don't know if the fans know this. Some of them might, but none of that was like professionally choreographed. We choreographed all of the fight sequence, basically.
Kevin Allen stepped up and helped out.
Kevin Allen is a professional choreographer. He does pirates.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I didn't even insist. So it was professionally choreographed by Kevin Allen. Thank you very much.
Who is a professional pirate, which is awesome. Shout out to Ecuador for being awesome and supporting us.
Which actually works perfectly that we had like a guy as a professional pirate that like kind of leads the Marauders who are totally wizard pirates in this, you know, big battle sequence.
Yeah. All right, let's get started and open it up to questions. So I'm going to let you handle that.
Okay.
You're much better at that than I am.
You're not so good at keeping us on track.
Yeah, seriously.
If Rihanna was not here.
Okay, so do we want to like backtrack and see where we're going?
There's so many questions,
So
dude.
many questions. Hold on. Yeah, let's look.
Okay.
Someone did ask about Wizard Pirates as a movie. Just saw that on the questions. We can address Wizard Pirates.
I'm gonna say
Thing
yes.
ever.
That's my answer.
One of the financial goals that we would, if we met $100,000, we would do Space Marauders.
That's right.
There's a Star
We
Trek.
did make that promise.
Question.
Yep.
I was
So
like, I don't know what it was.
But, yeah.
The problem is they already said,
one of the bigger questions.
Max Jones, baby. I just saw him. He asked for one. I'm giving one out to Max Jones. May I get a shout out, please? Yes, you may.
Yes, you may, Max Jones. I'm so what a name, Max Jones. He sounds like an action hero.
That's pretty cool.
I love that.
All right, so a couple of questions that everyone's asking of the same thing is how long did it take the movie, and will we make another film? So the first question to be answered is how long did the movie take to film? It took 4 days. We did 1 day in the bar, and we did 3 days out in the forest. Before that was a year of pre-production, Kickstarters, and prep. After that was a year of post-production. So it took a year to just get ready to shoot the film, and then it took a year to do everything else. Will we make another film? Warner Brothers asked us not to raise any more money to make fan films, but they said we could still make fan films or fan content. So unfortunately, we can't really make a film of this quality again because we need to raise money and we can't raise money. We are considering other options. We can't make any guarantees right now, but we'll leave it at that. And I can tell you that I have written out a full story that tells more of the Marauder stories during the Wizarding War. I don't know how I'm going to release that, but if we do, we'll figure out something that's going to be cost-effective and will still be entertaining and involve these guys.
We are talking about possibly making it a radio drama, a radio play, because that's a lot easier for us to do. We can still perform in it and we take on our characters again, and it wouldn't cost a lot of money to produce it, but we could still tell that story. You know, maybe we could get together, like do a photo shoot or something like that, or we can have some good, like, interesting photography to go with it.
Yeah.
But what would be an interesting, cost-effective way of being able to tell these stories without having to raise a ridiculous amount of money and go throughout that whole process again.
Yeah.
But keep in mind, we are all ridiculous Harry Potter dorks, so we've been talking about all the possibilities of stories we could tell with these characters specifically for the last year and a half. So we've been thinking about it. Believe us.
Yeah. So we got another question to the cast. What is your favorite book and/or movie of the series? So we'll start with Garrett.
I gotta say, book-wise, I think my favorite book is book 6, The Half-Blood Prince. Mostly because you get to kind of delve more into Harry's relationship with Snape, and I think you're really going to start to see more things. Kind of how he grows up, really, from book 5 and book 6. I just liked it, man. I don't know. And it's just everything sort of kind of comes to a catalyst to make way for book 7. So I thought book 6 was so cool. Movie-wise, probably the third one. I love the third Harry Potter movie, Prisoner of Azkaban.
Prisoner of Azkaban.
Yeah, word. That's my answer. My story, and I'm sticking to it.
Mixter.
Yeah, I go back and forth in the books. I read them all so many times when I was a kid. I think Order of the Phoenix is probably my favorite of the books. Like I had the best images in my head of, the Order of the Phoenix, of Severus's house, of them all coming together. It was a very dark book. It was really interesting time after, all of this starts, going down. And I seem to remember being into that book the most. Movie-wise, definitely Prisoner of Azkaban. And that would definitely be a close first, definitely at least second as far as my favorite books went, especially for that last scene in the Shrieking Shack. When Remus finally reunites with Sirius, Snape shows up, Andrew shows up, the first time we see all of them together again, and the amount of tension in that house, I love that scene. And that's what got me so excited about this project, is that is the only scene where we see all those characters together in the movies. And now that we've done this prequel, it's the first time that we see all the characters together before that. So now I'm dying, after we've shot this and done all this, to go back and re-watch the movie. Now that I've seen seen the Marauders together so many times, and their dynamic now, and now go back to Prisoner of Azkaban and watch just how far they've all fallen from that point.
Okay. Paul.
Oh man, okay, piece of cake. Favorite book for sure is Goblet of Fire. Goblet of Fire is hands down the best Harry Potter book of all time. The Triwizard Tournament was so sick. I wanted to be in the Triwizard Tournament. It's also you get to see the wizarding world globally. Previously it had just been, there's Hogwarts, and then everything that's happening in England and Western Europe, Hogwarts. But then you get to see Durmstrang and Beauxbaton. They all come together, and you get some good Victor Crumb and Hermione smooching, and he does the Quidditch trick with the Accio, the broomstick, and get it in there and get the dragon's egg. Goblet of Fire is a perfect book, and R.I.P. Cedric Diggory. Spoiler alert. For everybody who hasn't read Goblet of Fire, Cedric Diggory gets the axe, and that's a big death. It's is gonna die. I'm sorry, Garrett. I'm sorry. I know you gotta read.
I've been stretching that book out for years now, and I was so close to getting to that part.
I know. Well, now you know. I'm sorry I've ruined Goblet of Fire, but I agree with everyone else. Prisoner of Azkaban is so good, so good. Gary Oldman is phenomenal in that. Also, Prisoner of Azkaban was directed by Alfonso Cuarón, as you may know, of Gravity fame and Children of Men fame. Arguably, love what you're doing right there, Garrett. Love the moves you are making.
Listen.
So my two are Goblet of Fire, favorite book, Prisoner of Azkaban, favorite movie. Zach.
Damn it, Paul. You took all of my answers.
I know.
And now I
Great minds.
say the same thing. Goblet of Fire is awesome. I love that book. It's so cool. And
right?
Like you're saying, it opens up the wizarding world. You only know, oh, there's a cool school. They have houses. But then, you get to see there's other countries, there's other places, there's world tournaments of Quidditch. And yeah, that's where it really opened up. And that's when the
Quidditch
book
World
starts.
Cup is in Goblet of Fire too, right? Doesn't it start at the Quidditch World Cup?
Starts the World Cup.
Oh, good.
It gets serious too for the first time. They're like, instead of just like school adventures, you're like, oh crap, people die. Whoa. So yeah, Goblet of Fire is really what and yeah, Prisoner of Azkaban. It's a great movie. You just can't deny it.
Gary Oldman. Didn't J.K. Rowling say that, or J.K. Rowling say that Gary Oldman portrayed the most perfect rendition of a character that she saw in her mind from like book to screen?
If only Kevin could answer that one.
That's what Kevin always tells me that fact.
All right, so my favorite book is The Goblet of Fire. It is amazing. I love the Triwizard Tournament. It was just so intense. And the Return of Voldemort was just amazing. My favorite movie is The Order of the Phoenix, because David Yates, me as a person who's educated in film, went back to basics with how to block and shoot scenes, and he also really understood the characters. And I thought the adaptation of Goblet of Fire was, in my opinion, wrong. A lot of characters just go over the top for me, and David Yates took it back and brought subtlety to the tone and created a really solid tone for the movie. And the fight between Voldemort and Dumbledore was amazing. So those are my favorites. What about you?
I'd say my favorite book is also Goblet of Fire. And movie, it's really hard. I tend to watch probably The Prisoner of Azkaban the most. But I actually really like the last movie because it's very, very dark and dramatic, and I tend to like that kind of movie just better in general. And I also like the fifth movie too because I love the Night Plus part. Okay.
Awesome. All right, so I wrote down a whole bunch of questions that were directed towards me, so I'm going to answer them as quickly as possible, and then we'll get to some more based questions. How did I go about writing the film? Well, when I did a poll that asked what fans want to see next, and it was the Marauders, I basically reread all the books and then did some research writing on the Marauders and how I came to understand them and how they fit into the entire story. And I wanted to, I asked myself, like, what can I do considering my limitations, because I can't really shoot in a castle. There's no castles in Los Angeles, so I couldn't really tell a story about them while they're in school. Plus, it's, to me, more interesting if we see them outside of school, because we've seen 7 years of Harry in school. So let's see how these guys are outside. Let's put them in like the clothes they like to wear, and let's see them as they're transitioning from teenagers to adults. And that's what the theme of this movie really is that we see everybody becoming adults and how their decision making is changing. Like we see that Remus is starting to stand up to James, but he still can't convince him to not antagonize Snape. While in his fifth year, he just ignored what they were doing. He was not active. Sirius Black is usually very impulsive and emotionally driven, and I wanted him to just have a glimmer of reason when James wanted to go after Snape. Peter Pettigrew, same. He was starting to stand up for himself just a little bit, but mainly because he was terrified of getting into a real fight. And then we also see that once he's cornered and alone, that his true character comes through. And for James himself, I wanted to show that he was maturing, but when it came to Snape, who Remus Lupin said in the books, James considered to be a special case, that he still had issues with Snape, and now that he's out of school, going into the Wizarding War, and has a new girlfriend, he feels that he has to protect her and all his friends from Snape. And he knows why Snape is in that bar. He wants to see Lily, and he does not want that to happen. So while his antagonizing of Snape was very unwarranted and immature, his reasoning behind it was made a lot of sense. And once he was defeated in battle, that's humility and suffering builds character. And I believe that events catalyzed his maturity into real adulthood, into becoming the heroic and noble man that everyone likes to talk about James as. So that's the direction that I took in writing. The next question is, what was my favorite part of making it? Editing it.
That's for everybody, so we'll get to everybody.
We'll get to everybody. Lily asked if the duel scene was day or night. It was shot at night. I didn't want to do day for night. That looks cheap. And someone asked about the illegality real quick, and I'm gonna answer this question about the legality of our fundraising, and then I'm not gonna bring it up again because I brought it up once. But the reason why I bring it up is because another fan film, which raised like 30 times more money than us, called Star Trek Axanar, got sued by CBS. Like I said, we got a call from Warner Brothers asking us to not raise any more money, but they still support us making the film, and they wanted to make sure that we were not making a profit. And the thing that was going on with Axanar is that CBS is starting to be concerned that they're going to generate money on some level, not through Axanar but through other things. And they just and that's really all I know. I actually helped those guys out with a few things here and there, like a year ago. Did some behind-the-scenes stuff for them, helped them out with some vlogging, and they're awesome guys, and their vision for Star Trek is really cool. But the legality of it goes into the possibility of them making money, not off of Star Trek Axanar, but off of future projects with the studio that they built. So that's all I know. I also know those guys are awesome people, and I wish them the best in their endeavors, no matter what happens. And that's it. So.
Move on to something else?
Yeah,
Do you want to answer that?
So let's get back to the favorite part of making the film, and we'll start with Zach.
What?
What was your favorite part of making the film? Kevin, what are you doing?
Pawns in a forest.
Probably has all.
Also, welcome Kevin Allen to the call. The most important thing.
Well, first,
There he is.
Kevin, you have the live stream muted, right?
I have the what?
You have the live stream muted, right?
Well, he's on headphones.
He doesn't know there's a live stream.
Okay, well, just make sure that Google Hangout has audio. If you're watching the live stream the way that all the fans are watching, then don't. Then make sure it's muted.
Yeah, how do I do
All
that?
the love Kevin Allen is getting on the stream right now.
So much love.
I want to
Kevin Allen.
The people.
All right,
let's go back to Zach real quick. Tell us what your favorite part of making the movie was.
getting to be a wizard, getting to play around with a wand in the forest for 3 nights, swing it around like I had power. And it's super cool. And that's just a fantasy that you don't get to do anywhere else in any situation. So,
You do have power, Zach.
well, yeah.
Happy.
Yeah, there's nothing like it. It's just a great thing.
Yeah. What was your favorite part?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, oof. My favorite part was the bar scene. Like having all the extras come out, that entire day of filming in this bar, the Black Boar, right? That was the name of it.
Yep.
Amazing. It was so cool. I have all these people come out who love the Harry Potter universe and really just like sit down and just get it, like have fun and play and improv and talk in an English accent all day. Like that's my dream. I love that stuff. So that was great.
Alright, how about Mick?
Obviously, the battle stuff was really the battle stuff was a blast to do. It was a blast to get to choreograph that and go through all that. But I had so much fun with those last 2 monologues in the film. Both both the really intense monologue I have with Garrett and then when Danny shows up as Lily, because going in one fell swoop, going from the anger and desperation from with those last monologues in the film, both those. Oh, Kevin, turn off your mute your thing.
Sorry, Kevin.
Can you see Kevin?
All right.
Kevin, got so much love.
So like I was saying, the switch in one night from filming, from going to the monologue with Garrett to the shock and the apologetic monologue from Danny was such a challenge, and it was so ridiculously difficult to try to go between those two that I had a blast doing it because of the pure challenge of that. I had such a great time with that segment of the film specifically.
All right, how about Kevin? Kevin, your turn.
You can't hear.
Kevin's technical difficulties are my favorite thing in the world.
Kevin, it's your turn.
Type on here. Tell him to turn off because maybe he can't hear you.
Oh, I still have no
Oh, my
sound.
goodness.
God damn it. Get your mic back. Kevin.
Paul, go.
Oh man, I mean, I have to.
Pre-recorded Kevin Allen. Oh no.
Yeah, exactly.
Call answer as Kevin.
Kevin video when we need it. I think my favorite part, I agree, was like pretending to be a wizard. Obviously, the best part of this whole endeavor. But I also really just loved that day at the Black Boar, but the reshoots day where we brought in that girl. What was her name? That the girl who's in the front part of the movie.
Gillian Sturts.
Gillian Sturts, and she had like
the daughter of my good friend Craig Sturts, who became an executive producer of the film.
right.
Yeah,
They had, like, she wanted to be a part of the movie, and Justin made that happen, and like Mick made her a wand, and it was someone who was my age when I started reading Harry Potter, getting to be in the world of Harry Potter for like a hot second, and that's cool. I mean, like,
Look on the
awesome.
screen, just to point her out, she's the little girl who you see walking with her dad, who's the guy holding her hand, and her mother, who's actually played by Justin's mom, I believe.
Right.
And she has the first little bit of monologue at the beginning of there, but she was part of the Kickstarter prize of getting a walk-on role in the film. So her father purchased that to get her on, and then they're both in it together.
Yeah, and she killed it. That was great. So that was one of my favorite moments from
Craig, her dad, has actually done that for a few films before. That he's bought into a lot of like Kickstarter projects he really likes. Usually though, it's Craig in the film, and he buys them so he can die in increasingly horrible ways in films.
That's awesome.
Every film he's done, he dies in like fantastic ways. So he spends a lot of money donating towards these projects so they can, so they can come to fruition. And then his prize at the end is if he gets to die in the film in increasingly horrible ways.
All right. What was the question? I totally forgot what the question was.
Your favorite part about filming the movie?
Oh yeah.
Was it keeping Justin sane? That was probably your favorite part.
That's my favorite part.
Yeah, she knows how little sleep I got in between shoots and how I was freaking out over the weather report for the last day of shooting.
Yeah, actually, I kind of agree with Garrett. I liked the bar scene the most. That was the most fun to shoot, because it really felt like we were in the universe of Harry Potter, because just the set design and everything, like. Even before we had the moving pictures in there, which we obviously added later, just having everyone show up in their wizarding wear, and our cinematographer, John, the way he lit the whole entire pub with like this green tinge, this green light, and just the whole place just felt like a bar in a wizarding world.
Yeah, definitely. I remember John, the DP, the director of photography, he was setting up all the lights, and then he said, "Ooh, I want to try this filter." And it's this little piece of glass he put over it, and as soon as he put it down, everything got this like hue to it, this really light glow, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's Harry Potter right there. Now it looks like Harry Potter. Wow." So, woo, okay. Let's see. Let's move on to some more questions. Will we have bloopers? Yes, we will in a week or two.
Really? That's great news.
I saw pieces of it. I was so lucky. It looks hilarious. That's right. Justin actually finally showed me some raw footage. I don't know what happened, how the universe cleared up.
Garrett, you've seen something I haven't seen.
I know. For the first time ever. It looks great. Let's just say, in my professional opinion, it looks awesome.
Awesome. All right. Here's the next question. I want you guys to answer this quickly. What's your favorite line of dialogue from this movie?
Favorite time of the month's coming up.
You're
Kevin,
serious. No, you're serious.
Yeah, that's actually my favorite line, even though I don't say it.
What's your line? What's your favorite line, Kevin?
Can you even hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. I love
Kevin,
this.
you're in a well.
It's such a throwaway, and it's not my line. I find it
Which line again?
You doing over there, Steve?
fine. Are you serious? Are you serious? I just
Gotcha. Okay. All right, Garrett, you already said?
Yeah, I said you're serious. No, you're serious.
All right, what's your favorite line?
My favorite line in it?
Yeah.
Like, that's the best all these years. Take away the one person that I ever cared about, then you think you just brush me off. You have no idea what it's like. You have no idea what it is like. No idea. Something like that. I really like that one. That was
Yeah,
I think some people just cried. Zach, what's your favorite line?
It's so hard.
Is Garrett
My
Schwack
direct line, but my favorite little bit is when James is giving Peter crap about his shirt. For some reason, we riffed on it for
That
so
might have been the most
long.
fun for me through the whole movie was to make fun of Peter's T-shirt in an English accent.
By the way, that line about the shirt was part of a large ad lib because those guys are so good together that I said I just want you guys to come up with a basic story and idea for the first few minutes of the film, and then we'll move into the actual plot because you guys are just way too good together to not just let loose and have fun the way the Marauders are. So yeah.
And I've got to say, like, I think the Marauders.
Hi, guys.
Oh, your hair looks like
Hey.
And
Thanks,
she
it's fluffy.
sounds perfect. First try, Kevin.
It's the magic of St. Patrick's Day. It's with all the Irish.
Now we're asking Zach what his favorite line is.
Okay, sorry.
I answered it.
Oh, sorry. Okay, Danny, what's your favorite line?
Oh, my favorite line is Zach's line, actually. Well, we know who the big cheese is now, don't we?
Yes.
That's my favorite.
All right, Deanna, what's your favorite?
What's my favorite?
Favorite line, yeah.
I don't know. You're putting me on the spot.
What? It's put everyone else on the spot.
I know, but like
Spot on it.
actors, they actually memorize their lines.
Yeah, that's what you think.
Or maybe favorite moment, because Zach's was more of a moment.
I don't know. I think I like the whole first scene with the Marauders sitting down at the bar, and I just like their banter. That was the improv part, and then like moving into favorite time of the month from Remus, and then the serious joke. I like that, just the whole scene in the bar, like where they're just talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, lots of people falling in love with Remus, Paul, and Sirius, Kevin.
I love the love.
My favorite line is, "I hope to see you again."
Oh,
Yeah,
I'll say
God.
that.
it would be, Justin. It would be.
I was pretty proud of that line. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, can I just say right now, somebody made a little fan art meme that had to do with that line, saying "I hope to see you again," with me and Danny hugging at the top, and then Alan hugging dead Lily at the bottom, and it killed all of us. So whoever did that, why?
Yeah, that was
No,
a great-
yes, amazing.
God, it we're in this movie, and it killed us. Like, stabbed us through the freaking heart, and we're in that photo, and it hurts. It hurt my soul. It feels good.
Wolfstar is real. Technically, it is real because we did a very small nod to it. We made a very, very small nod to Wolfstar, and that's basically that was also a nod to the fandom because I wrote the film without reading any fan fiction. I didn't want to be influenced by other people's interpretations because, as a lot of people know, people love James or they love Snape. And people who love James, sometimes they hate Snape, and people who love Snape, sometimes they hate James. And I wanted to make sure that I told the story that I thought was the story that I wanted. But the Wolf Star is so prevalent that I just wanted to have a little nod, just a little nod. So let's another question. Huh?
Oh, just a little nod the way you said it to Wolf Star. You know, just a little nod.
Or two, or three. I don't know. So what happened after Severus Snape and the Marauders for him to become a Death Eater? I think we kind of answered that because he got to meet you-know-who.
But I think I can feel that because a lot of people were asking, because the film ends with Lily, saying, "Show me Severus, show me, and I'll forgive you." Which again, for everybody, Lily does not forgive Snape in this movie. Like she wouldn't forgive him, she wouldn't do this. He doesn't. She gives him the opportunity in the future to show that, prove himself, and then maybe she'll forgive him. Now, the question a lot of people have been asking is, if he was given that, given that opportunity, why didn't he take it, and why did he join the Death Eaters? My answer to that is because Snape makes really bad decisions for himself. And I love the character, and I say that with nothing but love for the character. He has a lot of amazing skills, and he has a lot of talents. Personal decision-making is not one of them. And I chalk it up to, like, all of us, the fact that all of us are human, and all of us make mistakes and do things that aren't in our best interest. We all do that in real life, and Snape as a character is no different than that. Even though he was already feeling temptation from the Death Eaters and from Voldemort, and yes, it was in his head probably the entire time that maybe I shouldn't join these guys, and maybe I should have tried to come over and leave, but we've all been there, and we've all done things that in the end were not a good idea for ourselves, and Snape is the same way. He has a history of making very poor decisions for himself, and he ends up being haunted by that.
And I honestly, I had reasoning behind why that motivation went initially unnoticed, because he was hearing her, but the moment she says it, she grabs James's hand and picks him up and is going to take care of him, and Snape knew that, and that's when he just got as conflicted as ever, because the only side of him that keeps him in the light is Lily. That's why he's, James does antagonize him, but when the fight is over, Snape could have walked away, but instead he Septum Semper Remus's face. He tortures Sirius, and then he tries to kill James after beating the crap out of him. But then when Lily shows up, she brings out the best in Snape, and she brings out the best in James, too, because James admitted that it was his fault, and he would never have admitted that if it weren't for the fact that he knew he was going to lose Lily if he didn't admit what was wrong, what was going wrong right there. But as far as Snape is concerned with that, he was still heavily conflicted, which is why he was at a bar drinking by himself in the first place, is because he just didn't know what to do with his life. Even after that motivational quote. And then Voldemort shows up, and they have a very long conversation. And
that night, I didn't see him being at the bar in that first shot. When he's drinking and he's at that bar, he's got a lot in his mind, and it's not just Lily. The reason that he's trying to apologize to Lily is because he's at a crossroads where he doesn't know where he's going to go. He might be going to the Death Eaters, he might be going another route, but he's trying to apologize to Lily because if he does make that decision to join the Death Eaters, he might never get a chance to say sorry to Lily again. So that whole scene with him at the bar is a really major turning point for him in a lot of ways.
All right, so I got a question for everybody, and you got to answer this as quick as possible. If each of your characters had a Pokemon, what would your Pokemon be?
Snorlax.
Charizard.
Raticate, bro.
Jigglypuff.
Danny, who would have a Jigglypuff? All right, Danny, what was your Pokemon?
Jigglypuff.
Garrett, what's your Pokemon?
Charizard.
Kevin.
One that looks like a cat and he's got like spiky mane. I don't know, guys.
Can I just say that this is layer upon layer of nerdiness that we're asking and answering this question even?
This is very true.
Danny's completely right, and on another note, Zoroark.
Wow.
Zoro.
Wow. I
That
don't know what that one is.
I'm Googling it.
No, that's Snorlax.
He was a discontinued Pokemon.
Paul.
Oh.
Paul, what's
Moment
your
of silence for Zoroark. Discontinued Pokemon.
Paul, what's your Pokemon?
Snorlax, dude. Hands down, all the time. Every Pokemon game I've had to have a Snorlax. You gotta play the flute, wake him up, and then he's yours.
Zach, what's your Pokemon?
Wait, is this me or my character? I didn't get the question.
No, you.
No, he doesn't.
All right, well, we'll actually answer. Well, we'll pick what our characters would have. What's your Pokemon?
Me?
Yes, you.
I want a Gyarados because they're awesome. Personally.
There you go.
Gyarados is cool.
Mine is the Bulbasaur. I love Bulbasaur.
Oh,
Honestly,
Bulbasaur is so
obvious
awesome.
today, but mine would be Pikachu because I'm like cute and like.
All right. Maybe we'll get back to which characters would have a Pokemon. Let's see. Kevin, we didn't get a chance to find out what your favorite Harry Potter book and movie is.
My favorite book is Order of the Phoenix. It's my least favorite movie for the same reason. My favorite movie was Goblet of Fire. That was kind of the one that really got me into Harry Potter. But the more I watched, Chris Pratt, even with all the many fans, as far as like
Because this is in Las Vegas.
so it's becoming my favorite.
Okay, cool. Let's see. What is this question is for you guys as people, not as characters, because we obviously know who characters are. What is you as people's patronus?
Great white shark.
Giraffe.
Emperor
so
Penguin.
Let's do it in order. Danny, what animal's your patronus?
I'm a white tiger.
Oh!
Yes.
I like it. By the way, for anybody who doubted that Danny had green eyes in the film, there's her green freaking eyes.
Get him up close, Danny. Show him
Get him
that.
the camera.
All right, so Garrett, what's your animal? What's your patronus?
Giraffe would be my patronus.
Awesome.
Vicious.
Kevin.
Tall and vicious.
It's probably a Pegasus. I thought about it.
Whoa.
Probably a Pegasus. I don't know. Could just be a Pegasus. I don't know. Maybe.
You're on
Probably.
the fence about it. If it's a Pegasus, it's definitely a Pegasus.
That's so true.
All right, Kevin, you're trying to explain yourself.
The same reason that Harry's is a stag, mine is a Pegasus.
Okay.
Okay.
Mick, what's your patronus?
Dad used to be a Pegasus?
This is totally not because it's super goth to say, but a raven.
Okay. I love ravens. Ravens are super smart birds.
Okay, I just got back from when I was in England. I went to the London Tower where they have all the royal ravens out, and they are the coolest freaking birds in the world. I could have spent the entire day just watching the ravens talk with each other and mess with each other. They're so awesome. So, like, especially after seeing that, definitely a raven or a velociraptor.
Probably a raven or a velociraptor. You know they're related, I think.
Yeah, they're the same thing, really.
All right, Paul was great white shark. Zach, what's your patronus?
An Emperor Penguin.
Fuck yeah! I love that penguin. It's my favorite penguin.
Oh my god.
It is. When I was in 4th grade, I had a teacher named Miss Stiegel, and she did a whole semester of our Friday class, and Friday was like teacher's choice on subjects, and she taught us everything about penguins, and it was amazing. And my second favorite is a chin strap penguin because they're so cute, but emperor penguins are big and awesome, and when you see them fight, it's ridiculous. It's like this. It's like.
Wait, Justin, you're breaking up. Do that again.
One more time, I'll do it.
Yeah, please, please.
I hope someone turns that into a GIF. I hope to God.
What do you think yours is?
Probably some sort of domesticated pet, like a cat or a dog.
Like an iguana.
Like a small animal with a brown body and a black face and big puffy eyes that make it look like it's sad all the
But
time.
my personality isn't like a pug, is it?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I've never owned a pug, but you can't stop looking at me.
So, no, I think it'd be some sort of cat or in the cat family. Because I like to sleep and I'm pretty calm most of the time, but like if you piss me off,
You're a lynx.
yeah.
All right, so I'm going to address a few things that were in my direction. Doctor Who with a lightsaber. Yes, that's exactly what it is. Someone said they love the scene where Sirius sees Snape approaching James and was looking really scared. Thank you. I love that shot too. I also love the shot right before where it shows Snape looking victorious, which was not planned. It was amazing. And let's see. Other than that,
No one knows how to act in a ditch like Kevin Allen.
That's very true. That man acted the hell out of that ditch. Can I ask a question? I know it's not couth for me because I'm answering questions, but I want to know what everybody's reason was for doing this movie, beyond the fact of just, that it's Marauders and Harry Potter and it's awesome. Like, what really made you a part of it? Feel free, anyone can start.
It cut out.
It cut out, but I believe the question was, why did you want to get involved in this movie?
Oh, I cut out. That's my fault.
I needed the money.
Yeah, that was my
I did it all for the money.
Shut up, Paul.
I did it for the hundreds of millions of dollars that Justin paid us under the table that Warner Brothers doesn't know about.
Shut up, Paul.
I'll start. The reason, honestly, I did it was because the script was so well done, and I read it, and Justin had put together such a fantastic story, and I had read all of the Harry Potter books, I had seen all of the movies, and I was as excited as any of these guys were to audition for a Harry Potter project. And then when I got to read the story, I was like, this feels like it's canon. This feels like it's just an extension of J.K. Rowling's work. This lines up with my sensibilities for like how these people would have interacted post Hogwarts, and all those pieces just fit together so well that I was like, this is an opportunity of a lifetime. And then I heard Mick Higgins was attached.
Oh,
and my heart just was set aflutter.
Yeah, that was the same reason I joined Mick Ignis. I was like, he's attached, and then I just dropped everything.
That's funny you say that, because the main reason I joined is because I found out I was attached as well.
Rude. All right, Mick. What was your motivation in regards to getting this part, or how you dealt with this part?
For me, I was a huge fan of the books growing up. From the very beginning, I brought it with me. Check this out. What I got. This right here is the reason. This was the very first book that I got, Christmas 1999, and was hooked since the minute I opened up this book. So the entire Harry Potter series and franchise has been a huge part of my life growing up. And when I read the script, and first off, found out it was Snape, and like he was approaching me for Snape. The thing that sold me on it was I was a big fan of the Snape character from the first book onward, way before anyone considered him a hero, or way before anybody knew of these actions or why he was doing what he did, because he was such a conflicting character, because he was such a toe-the-line, gray area, sometimes good, sometimes evil character, and I love that about him. I love that before any of the stuff with Lily came out or anything else, because it was such an interesting character to explore. So the idea of getting to play with this character that I've spent so much time and was such a big part of my childhood, and delve more into that character and having a script that actually called for that and thought of the character in the same way I did, which was not a shining, perfect hero of a character, but somebody who has a lot of flaws and has a lot of complexities. I couldn't refuse that. It was too fun an opportunity to get to explore and play with this character. So I was hooked the minute I read the script.
Kevin.
Getting a haircut.
Kevin looks broken. His screen is frozen.
There it goes.
Talk to me, Kevin. What was your motivation?
For my character,
Yeah.
Does nobody else see these?
he didn't want things to change, and he knew it would happen, but he wanted to kind of revel in the moment as much as possible. And every decision he makes that night is about them just prolonging getting jobs and going to the Order and confronting Snape until they finally do confront Snape, and it's like, all right, well let's revert back to what we did in middle school, because that was my favorite time. Everything that Sirius does in this film is motivated by him wanting to remain in Hogwarts and school and all that. He just doesn't want to move on.
Gotcha. Garrett.
To answer my own question, my motivation was that it was an amazing story. I think the thing that gets me about this every time that I look at it or watch it or whatever is that. Sorry, they said Kevin is chatting from 1999, and that was just hilarious. It's just a really good story. It's about people kind of figuring out what to do with the rest of their lives and kind of figuring out how they grow up, really, and that's why I wanted to get involved. It's people and characters that I love, but it was also a great coming-of-age story. So that's why I wanted to get behind it and be a part of it, give my 110%.
Awesome. Danny.
We'll kind of piggyback off of what Garrett was saying. First off, I love the story. That's obvious. But I love Harry Potter, and I love what it provides to the world, because it's so much of a bridge, I think. I mean, what these characters go through, what they experience in their lives, regardless of magic, is pretty much what everybody experiences at that age. And we all go through these loves and these losses and these hates and these angers. Things are obviously elevated on the magic scale, but I love that it's sympathetic to people in general, and it's a very global message and relatable, easily palatable, and I just wanted to play with the accent.
Zach. Zach, it's okay, man. It's okay. No pressure.
I did it for the chicks.
Did what?
Lined up. I did it for the ladies. It's really what I do, ladies.
The ladies love
the ladies, the petty groupies.
The petty groupies.
Yes, I love that.
No, I did it because I knew I'd never have an opportunity to do anything like this again in a world that I loved. Getting to be a part of it, and I jumped at the chance.
Awesome. All right, so I'm going to answer some questions that were directed towards me. Answer them as quick as I can, and then we'll get to cast-related questions. Some people said that Voldemort's look wasn't accurate, and they may be right.
Not some people. A lot of people said
I know a lot of people, but
everybody thought that.
Shut up, Paul. God, why are you supporting? Screw you. All right, so there are two reasons why I chose Voldemort to look much closer to post-Goblet of Fire than pre-Goblet of Fire. There are some people who say, oh, he would have looked like a young man, which isn't really true. He was like 45, 50 when around this time. But it was in the 1950s. I believe 1926 is when Voldemort was born, so that means that 36, 46, 44 is when he graduated, and then 10 years later, 1954, is when he posted for the dark arts position at Hogwarts with Dumbledore and was rejected. And that's when Harry noted that while he didn't look the same way he remembered him in Goblet of Fire, that his skin was getting pasty, that he was looking much older, he was balding, that his skin was like, and he was as pale as snow. So that's 25 years before this movie takes place, and it is before the 5 Horcruxes. It was like he had like 3 at the time. It was before the 5 Horcruxes that he had by the time this movie takes place. So there is a lot of justification as to why he would either look that way, which, by the way, he still had the nose. It wasn't flat. He would either look that way or look pretty close. That's the first reason. The second reason is while we did a lot of this for fans, there was still a lot of people that would watch the film and see like a degraded, younger-looking man with red eyes, and maybe not know who he is. So we wanted to make sure that we were taking into account people who may have seen the movies but haven't read the books or have no idea what's going on. So it was either kind of a damaged-looking man with red eyes or something that looks much more like Voldemort. And I feel like a lot of people would have just been confused, and only the heavy-duty fans would have understood who that was. So those are the two reasons. That's the Voldemort question. Someone asked about Legilimens and why there was no eye contact. That was just a little bit of suspension of disbelief and breaking a little bit of the rules to make sure that that moment worked. So I did break the rules a little bit there. Not gonna lie. Plus, it just looks cool when you use a spell and you're not looking. There's just a cinematic. There are definitely cinematic liberties that all the movies took, and I understand why. Because it is easier to imagine things in books, but it's harder to portray them in movies. And just without eye contact, I understand I broke the rules there, but it helped get that moment across. So that's that. Fiendfire is a controversial topic that I chose for the Marauders to use, which is dark magic. Now, some people have criticized my interpretation of James Potter, and they have a total right to do so because the man is up for a lot of interpretation. The reason why I chose for them to use Fiendfire is a couple of reasons. The first is these guys are going into war, and Harry Potter himself used dark magic on a number of occasions, even though he professed to not liking dark magic either. He used the Cruciatus Curse twice. Once against Bellatrix Lestrange, but didn't mean it. And second against one of the Carrows, and absolutely meant it. He even said, "Oh, I get it. You have to mean it." And I thought that was a little out of character for even Harry Potter. But what that told me is that in desperate situations where you are thinking about protecting your friends and going into a war, a lot of logic goes out the window. A lot of your original thoughts and feelings on things can change, especially if you're not thinking straight. And as that battle escalated, and they were teaming up against Snape more and more, trying to defeat him, they weren't thinking, and they were doing the best they could to beat him. So the other reason why I wanted to use Fiendfire is because I wanted to display the four animagus animals in some way, and Patronus is not going to work on Snape. So Fiendfire was the next best thing. So that's my answer. And a lot of people disagree with it. They can totally disagree with it if they want to. I just thought it looked amazing myself, but yeah.
It looked so good. That was one of the first things that wasn't like in the movie before we saw the whole thing was the Fiendfire shot, and it just like blew our minds.
Right.
The whole thing.
So the next question I got is, how did I cast these guys? I used LA Casting and different casting websites, and I auditioned several dozen people. The main thing I was looking for is that the personality that they achieved was primary, was first. The close second was looks. Everybody, I think, is pretty darn close to their looks. Garrett doesn't quite have the hair, but I also love the fact that J.K. Rowling came up with a potion that his dad made to straighten hair. So it was perfect when it came to the fact that he was trying to mature. He decided to use his dad's potion, which I thought was just brilliant, and it saved me. But
thanks, J.K.
Garrett displayed James Potter's personality, from my perception, perfectly. He came off as like as very charming, fiercely loyal to his friends, very caring, very idealistic and passionate, but also really arrogant and very good at being a bully. At least that when he performed. So to me, a lot of fans said his bullying days were done when he was a 7th year or when he graduated, and that's partially true. He stopped bullying people randomly, but he did keep bullying Snape, and that's canon. So I wanted to dig it deeper into why he kept bullying him and to why he would confront him now, which, as I said before, is because they're going to war, and Snape sees him as a threat to himself, to his friends, and to Lily, which is all very justified. And Garrett portrayed that amazingly, as did all these other guys portray their roles amazingly. And that's how I cast him. So the next question. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, people keep asking why the actors don't look closer to 18. I mean, honestly, in Hollywood, that's not really an issue usually because most people are going to be older than the age they're playing. Like, you usually have an age range that could be like, 18 to like 30.
Moaning, the woman who played Moaning Myrtle was like almost 40.
But also, like, I did try to pick actors that were as close to the age that they're supposed to look as possible. But when I did cast people who looked really young, that looked like really 18 because they were 18, they couldn't act the part. They couldn't fill the role. They didn't have enough experience as actors, and they didn't have enough life experience. And to me, when you get into a role, then you portray your age better. And it's not going to satisfy everybody, but that's the point, is that I got to make sure that these guys really pull off their roles first and foremost. So someone asked how old we are. You don't answer that question in Hollywood, sorry.
I'm
And you got to remember, like, this is pretty standard for, here, 1 second. All right,
Mix coming from the fourth dimension.
No, that's pretty standard for Hollywood in general. I mean, Andrew Garfield had just played Spider-Man. He was in his mid-30s and he was playing somebody who's supposed to be 17, 18 years old. Luke Perry played a freaking high schooler straight through to his 50s, I believe. So, I mean, it happens pretty often with film and TV. It's that people aren't necessarily playing a little older than that.
Crazy.
All right, so the next question, I thought this was an interesting one. Like, guys, imagine that we're in the Harry Potter universe, and you can play any other character you want at any time in any place during the books, before or after. That goes everything from Regulus Black to Teddy Lupin. If you could play another part, who would you play? Let's start with Kevin.
Where is Kevin?
Oh, come on, Kevin. Can't hear you.
I'll start. I can start if you want. While Kevin fixes everything. I honestly, after playing James in this movie, I went back and reread the books, and every time James came up, I envisioned myself as his character again, and it was super fun. So I honestly wouldn't change it. I don't know. I really enjoyed playing James. I enjoyed getting into his headspace and all that stuff.
So you couldn't do what you put.
I guess if it was like barred from me, then I would want to be. I want to be Tonks. She's so cool. I don't know. It's really
my answer.
But Tonks is the best. She reminded me of Trunks from Dragon Ball Z when I first
Yeah, Trunks! Love Trunks! DBZ!
Pink, purple hair?
Yeah, I'm a Trunks junkie. That was the best character ever. So yeah, I'd be Tonks if I could do it.
Danny.
If I don't get to be Lily, and apparently that's out of the water, I would want to be Hermione, actually.
Aww.
It's kind of on the nose. But it's the qualities about Lily that I love about playing her, and I feel like Hermione also embodies a lot of those same qualities. So that's why I choose you, Hermione. I choose you.
Oh, the brightest wit of her age.
Paul.
Oh, dude, I think I'd make a pretty swell Gilderoy Lockhart.
Yeah!
You would.
Fucking Gilderoy. Oh my God.
Agreed. 100%.
Yes.
I would love to see Paul as Gilderoy Lockhart.
Gilderoy Lockhart. I could, and with my face on the book and just the smarminess. Although, like, also one of my favorite, like, cameo bit roles in the movies was, who plays him? He's fantastic, does all the Shakespeare stuff. Kenneth Branagh.
Kenneth
Branagh. Yeah.
Kenneth Branagh, right?
Kevin Branagh.
You know, Kevin Branagh is theatrically trained. He does way more theater than usual, but he's also a director, and he directed the first Thor movie.
Yeah,
It's Kenneth, right? Not Kevin.
Kevin Brown. Yeah.
Not Kevin.
Kenneth. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, wait, what?
Zach.
Oh, I mean, I literally spent my youth wishing that I had gotten the chance to play.
Harry Potter.
No, the better one. Neville.
Neville. The better one.
From Peter to Neville. Awesome.
Not a jump.
Let's try Kevin again. Kevin.
Oh, come on, Kevin.
You can do it, Kevin.
Can't hear you. It's Mick. It's muted.
Write your answer in the chat.
Yeah,
That
seriously.
smile that he's frozen
Very
on.
smooth, and we can read your lips.
Aww.
Do sign language.
All right.
All right, is it to me?
Yeah, go for it.
Bellatrix Lestrange. Final answer. Bellatrix Lestrange.
Wow.
Second.
Wow.
Era.
Would.
This. Done.
Wait, who's the second?
No, during the Wizarding War.
Oh.
I'm gonna play young Bellatrix Lestrange during the Wizarding War. That's what I want. Final answer.
Awesome. I would play Justin Finchley.
Wow.
Because I'm Justin.
God.
Justin
Alright,
Finchley.
Yeah.
I'd be Tonks too. Garrett.
Woo! Tonks.
Double
There you
tonks.
go.
Let's see.
Double
So
tongue.
if you were a teacher at Hogwarts, what would you teach? Let's start with Danny.
No, not me.
Okay, fine. Start with Zach.
Zach.
Definitely would teach transfigurations. Sure.
Okay, cool. Moving on. Kevin, let's try Kevin again.
Like Kevin times 2.
Kevin, what? There's double
What's
Kevin.
happening?
There's two Kevins.
Kevin times 2. Which one? I don't know what's going on.
All right, let's Mick.
Mick.
Not just because of Snape, but potions. I work in effects, and I do a lot of stuff already that has to do with like chemistry and like mixing stuff to create like crazy things. So definitely potions. Second to that, probably transfiguration. I really like the ideas of transfiguration as well. But both of those I would love to play with.
There he goes.
Okay,
There he goes.
so go through. Say that one more time for me, please, Mick.
Potions or transfiguration?
Okay.
Would you always do potions?
Say
Always.
There you go, kids. Everyone's been asking you to say that. Paul.
Oh, dude. Hands down, I want to be the Quidditch instructor. I want to be the on brooms all day, teaching kids how to back up the brooms all day and toss quaffles.
Paul Pong.
Yeah. Or I would also love to teach frog choir.
Paul would be the best frog. It'd be a frog rap choir, is what it would be. Frog rap.
Paul's gonna be like marching into Dumbledore's office, like, yo, I taught the frogs how to beatbox. Check this out.
Oh my God! Awesome.
Garrett.
This is hard, man. I'd want to teach transfiguration just because I like McGonagall so much, but I feel like it's a lot like biology, and I would hate that with a fiery passion. So I'd probably teach charms. I love charms. I like the idea of charms. That'd be my thing. I'd be like a tall Flitwick.
Looks like you know.
Tough.
I like it. Trelawney. Ooh, careful.
Divination.
Watch that button. Kevin, let's try you again.
Which Kevin?
This Kevin. Oh, you poor soul, Kevin.
Don't know what to do.
Gotcha. We can hear you.
You just muted him.
Kevin, Kevin should just
Hi.
come to my house.
Well, no, I'm nowhere near my house, which is why I'm doing this whole setup. This is,
Are you in Starbucks?
yes.
Oh my gosh! Please
God
tell me.
damn it, Kevin. You know Starbucks is terrible.
He works there.
I know, but Starbucks Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
I'm any of this, and I wasn't gonna make it home in time.
All right.
Aww.
All right, Kevin. What would you teach?
As me or as serious?
You.
You.
I think I would be best at charm.
Okay.
Oh,
Charms it up.
charm, the charm expert over here.
Of course you'd be charmed. Don't charms. That's what's up.
I think I've got the detail that would make for like getting those motions right and pronunciation and all that, like that little stuff that can really make or break a good charm.
Gotcha. Danny, what would you teach?
I was going to say charms too, but now I don't want to be a copycat. So I'd probably be out in the greenhouse doing herbology. You know, plants.
Gotcha. I would love to teach transfiguration. I just think it's the coolest thing, even though it's weird to me. It's like, let's turn beetles into buttons. But it's interesting to me, so I'd probably teach transfiguration.
Hey, Justin?
What?
Yes,
Real
Danny.
quick, I got to bounce out.
Aw.
It's been wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm pulling a Kevin right now. I'm multitasking as well, hence the headset.
They're in the same Starbucks.
All right, well, everyone say bye to Danny. Thank you so
Bye,
much.
Danny. Thank you. You're so awesome.
You guys are so amazing. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody.
Oh,
Yeah.
happy St. Patrick's Day. Very good. Oh, goodbye, Danny.
Bye, guys.
Goodbye, Danny.
Goodbye, Danny.
Yo, shout out to La Miranda. They've been asking for it on the chat thing all night. La Miranda, we love you. There you go. That's your shout out. Don't get greedy.
What would you teach?
Oh, I think I would want to teach potions, but I would probably end up teaching divination or history of magic, just because I like those things. Because I like history, and the guy who teaches it in the books is really boring.
Yeah,
So
you'd probably do a better job.
You would need a better teacher. And divination is cool, and I like occulty kind of stuff.
Okay. So what aspect of your guys' character was difficult to portray? Yeah.
Subtlety.
Subtlety.
Ooh.
Or Kevin, I guess.
I mean, I didn't like the bullying aspect.
Yeah.
Honestly, Sirius, with the exception of I put a lot of pressure on myself, he actually came fairly easily. I guess just being like relaxed and not like freaking out the whole time, that was a little bit of a challenge.
Okay, Garrett.
I think the hardest part for me, I guess, would be willing to put someone, like bully someone, kind of like Kevin's saying. Like, I don't know, there's so many better ways to attack a problem with another person than actually fighting them. And so it was hard for me to be like, I want to hurt this person so he never hurts me again, and like really go at it 110% and want to like crush them into nothing, like taunting and like, you know, trying to, you know, really maim another person. That's things that I don't know. There's things that I don't do personally, so it's hard for me to get into that headspace. But when I got there, it really helped unlock the rest of the character, really. I mean, James is willing to do anything for his friends and the people he loves. So being able to get into that headspace was a very big building block onto the performance.
Gotcha. Mick.
Again, like those last two monologues were a challenge, were difficult, but were also it was a fun challenge to go into. As far as like difficulties go and stuff like that, I think that was probably the most difficult thing. I understood where the character was coming from a lot, even more so than I think a lot of a lot of people are saying. A lot of people are saying, because he's a lot of people saw him as a hero for this film, like a 100% hero getting bullied, and there were I didn't want to portray him in that way. I didn't want to portray him as it's specifically one-sided towards Snape. There were a lot of different layers to find with him to make sure that he, was more of a conflicted character in this film than he's often seen as. So just trying to find those different layers for Severus's character was probably difficult, but really fun to explore and try to figure out.
Right. Okay. Paul. Oh no, Paul answered. Zach.
Bullying people's pretty easy. So I guess being in the emotional place with the Marauders of kind of not being exactly an equal, but trying to be. It's kind of a weird place to try to pretend to be, particularly with us, because we all really got along anyhow. At least they tell me we did. And yeah, it was kind of weird to pretend like we weren't equals, but were. It's strange.
Okay, so I'm going to go through a couple of questions that I got. You're welcome for doing Snape's Worst Memory Reading. That was a lot of fun for us when we were doing the Kickstarter. So, someone asked if I ship Shilley or Snilly. I honestly don't really ship. I follow the canon. This was my second time writing fanfiction, and I want to stick to what actually happened in the books. Someone actually asked earlier if James and Lily lived, would their friendship be rekindled? That's a very hard question to answer. It depends on how the war ended. I think James would have matured enough to the point of where he could not have such a hard time accepting Snape in their lives if that ever happened, but Snape would have to show a serious amount of maturity on his part. So that's that. But I know a lot of Snilly shippers loved the hug between Lily and Snape, and that was to portray that even after Lily had had enough of the terrible behavior and choices on Snape's part over the years, that she was still able to have a sense of compassion, and that's why she accepted Snape's more genuine apology. Because in the the seventh book, we saw Snape try to apologize, and it was half-hearted. It was hollow. That's why she was able to accept his apology by hugging him. But then she said, like, I accept your apology. The hug was, I accept your apology for calling me a mudblood, but you are still involved in dark arts, and you are still hanging out with people who are truly evil. So if you can show me that you are becoming a better person, then I might forgive you. So that's why that hug took place. So let's see. Someone said, why do none of us love Star Trek or Star Wars? I love them both, and I'm a huge Trekkie, so I don't know where that came from.
He talks more about than any other experience.
Yeah.
Basically. So someone asked, did James feel empathy for Snape at the end of the film? And that's interesting you asked that, because I had a single moment where James, while he's being held up by Lily, looks up at Snape. And I asked the colorist to make sure that it was ambiguous, that you are not sure what James is thinking at that moment. Was he still hating Snape? Was he ashamed of being defeated by Snape? Did he have new respect for Snape? Because Snape just bore his soul out in front of Lily and himself. So to bore your soul out in front of the woman you love and your worst enemy has got to take some serious courage. And maybe James recognized that, or maybe not. So I kind of left that up to the fans on what James thought at that moment, because that was James's real beginning of his transition into adulthood and being a responsible, good man. So it's kind of up to you guys on what you thought. So let's see. I'll answer the drinking question later. I'll get back to you on that one, because it was more of a joke than anything else, but I'll answer it in more detail. Someone asked about the duels. Actually, Lily asked about the duels, and I wanted Kevin to go into that.
Hi. So what was the actual question?
Like, what kind of thought process went into the dueling and how you put it together?
I approached their motions, their actual moves, like via fist fights. And I actually brought, like I said, put down your ones. I got Garrett and Nick together and was like trying to block them as if it was a fist fight. With Garrett making James a lot of hard blows towards Snape's center, Snape Garrett's spells. Then we just pulled them apart to make room for the magic, and we strung Garrett's moves together in a more strategic fashion. And then Nick's approach as Snape was trying to get a little bit more fluidity. It felt more like a lion versus a snake. And then once these guys had the bones of the choreography down, they just owned it, and they made it theirs. And we choreographed it up until the secret moment where Snape is throwing rocks at James and James catches it. And it was like the first of many cool moments that Justin wanted in the film, and we just.
To be fair, Garrett came out with that idea. I was going to have him get nicked by the rock and have him get pissed off, and that would justify him using more higher stakes methods like arrows. But Garrett said, "No, I'm really good. I'm really fast, and my reflex skills are fast. I would catch that." I'm like, "Okay, yeah, all right."
Plus, it looked really cool. I was like, "How can I justify this so it looks super cool?" Because I want to do it, and then that was what I came up with.
Gotcha.
Seeker.
So this is a fun question. What are a couple of your guys' interests outside of acting and filmmaking? Let's start with Paul. Paul deserves to be first.
Yeah.
Yes, he does.
I like long walks on the beach, and romance novels, and the poetry of Susan Sontag, Jimmy Buffett. Most of all, I love hip hop and like pop culture from the '80s. So get at me with your Hall & Oates. Get at me with your Reebok pump. Get at me with your Skip-Its and your Bop-Its. I'm ready for you. I love the Nintendo 64, the greatest console of all time, and I have a hopeless addiction to sweet tea. I'm a diehard lover of sweet teas. So
my interests include all of Paul's answers.
Yeah, seriously.
Not them being my interest, just listening to Paul answer things.
I like a lot of things. I like flashy clothes and gold chains. I like Kevin Allen's hair. I
like Kevin Allen's hair too.
I like Justin and Liana's cat. Their cat's name is Pimp. You guys know that Kevin Justin and Liana have a cat named Pimp. Yeah, there's one for the fans.
There's some for the fans.
He's right back there. You can see him dick.
Hold on.
Oh, yay!
Oh,
the cat!
Everyone's favorite interest.
Alright, what are we doing? I'm so distracted.
Okay. So let's see. Interest. Well, Mick, what's some of your interests outside of movies?
I work a lot in effects. A lot of the characters I play outside of Snape actually being like the first character you can actually see my face in, are related to special effects makeup and prosthetics and creating those. I work at a place called Cinema Makeup School, so I work with a lot of students who are creating those and learning that art. So I'm very heavily involved in the effects community of practical effects. I am also starting to work a lot more with writing and concept work. I'm working with a VR company right now to do some virtual reality simulation kind of film work. So working in like this new media thing, which I'm also starring in. So right now I'm outside of acting, I'm also going to be acting in these things, but I'm also working on the conceptual side of kind of developing this new way of doing films and this virtual reality experience. That's one of the fun things I've been working on. And also, my interests include Kevin's mug right now.
Yes. Oh my God.
They asked for it. I delivered.
Awesome.
Oh, Kevin.
Oh, look at that.
What is that?
That's a serious black mug. Kevin Allen's interests are being awesome and being super cool. Those are Kevin Allen's interests.
Those Venn diagrams overlap a lot.
A little bit of
What are your interests, Kevin?
when I haven't done it in a year, it makes me sad, but my archery bow is in my car, and I'm meaning to get back to the range.
Nice.
And then I do some freelance pirating on the side. I work with a pirate troupe. I'm a pirate enthusiast, and one day I'll like read books and play video games again. I'm just so busy out here. I feel like I don't have hobbies anymore. Also adjusting my microphone. That's a huge thing with me.
Yep. All right. I'm just backtracking on a few questions. Why is Remus and James old enough to buy a drink, but Severus isn't? Snape's older than both by a few months. That was Chip Thomas. That was more of a joke. It was more that James incited in the other bartenders that Mick might be young to drink. So when he went to the bar and kept drinking and drinking and drinking, the other bartender would ask him if he'd seen his ID, and he would just keep obliviating him, just basically saying, "Leave me alone." So the logic behind it is that he looks young, and he wasn't sure if he was young enough, if he was old enough to drink. But it's more of a joke than any type of logic. So. There's a such thing as movie logic, guys. So, Garrett, go ahead.
Go ahead with my interests.
Yes.
Sorry, I was reading the chat and I got distracted. I'm a Tottenham Hotspur fan. I love soccer. Tottenham Hotspur is a English Premier League team in North London, and they're the best. So when I'm not looking at acting stuff and doing all that stuff, I like watching soccer. It's just great. Good way to hang out with friends and sing songs about people you've never met. That's always fun. I'm currently halfway through Wind Waker for the first time. That's an interest of mine, is completing that game.
That game is so tight.
I love Zelda. My girlfriend here took me to the Symphony of the Goddesses in Costa Mesa. It was super cool. They played a bunch of Zelda music, and I cried and wore awesome socks. I also like long walks on the beach and Kevin Allen's hair.
Yeah,
and,
dude.
Playing soccer tennis, which is like a cool sport that we came up with. So those are the things that I do when I'm not reading books and pretending to be wizards.
You play dominoes.
And
Yeah, dominoes. Dominoes. The most old person interest ever. Dominoes is supernatural on a nightly basis.
oh yeah, that's right, Dominoes. We did play that. Zach, interest.
I'm a big time gamer. I play games all the time with friends online through my PS4. I play League of Legends with friends on my computer here. I'm an accomplished home cook. If you ask me to make any dish, I probably know what it is and have a good idea on how to cook it. And,
Really?
I love Billy Joel.
Dude, yeah, what's your favorite Billy Joel song?
Sleeping with the Television On. It's a great song.
Wow, deep cuts, too.
Deep tracks, bro. Glass Houses is a good album. Check it out.
Decade Street, which album is that on?
Glass Houses.
That's Houses.
So next question. This is for everybody. What was everyone's thoughts on Snape before the Prince's Tale in Book 7? Start with Mick.
Again, like I said, me being fond of Snape came way before we found out why he was doing what he was doing. J.K. never set him up to be the villain. He wasn't an obvious villain from the beginning. He was always somebody that you would just kind of constantly second guess and try to figure out why he was acting the way he was acting. There was always so much more to it than just him being a bully and just him hating Harry. There was, so I was intrigued by him. I wanted to know more about him. I felt that some revelation was going to be coming for him, but the fact that the character was so intriguing and that you didn't know why he acted the way that he acted and what his reasoning behind it was what made me such a big fan of the character. So that big revelation that he had of, you know, consuming Lily and why he was, you know, why he was protecting Harry and what his, you know, how he played into all of this was a big payoff for that. But even then, I still don't think of him as a perfect heroic character, and I don't think J.K. Rowling does either. She's talked about that before, that she still doesn't say that he's vindicated and that he is a perfect character who is the hero of the story. He's still a gray area, and he had his reasons for doing what he did, but I still don't think he cared, you know, he didn't care about Harry. He did what he did out of love for Lily, but that doesn't mean he had any specific fondness for Harry. So straight from the beginning to the revelation to the end, he's still a character that you still have a lot of questions about and has, you know, a lot of questions about his motivation.
Paul.
What did I think of Snape before I learned that he had, like, you're talking about before Snape's worst memory, right?
Yeah. No. Before The Prince's Tale, where after Snape died and Harry looks at all of Snape's memories.
Oh, yeah. I didn't like him, honestly. I had always been, and keep in mind, I was a kid when I first went through the Harry Potter books, like we all were. So I very much bought into, like, Snape is the bad guy. He's, like, in cahoots with Voldemort, probably evil, trying to kill Harry Potter. And so I was, like, very much thought he was a bad dude. And so that made it all the more exciting when you got to see, like, oh my God, no, like Snape has been on Harry's side since the beginning, and if not on Harry's side, then on Lily's side, and, like, against the Dark Lord, you know, which I think is an important thing to remember about Severus Snape, is that, like, from my perspective, he was never in support of what Voldemort did. You know, he may have been, like, hurting and, like, wanted to find a place, but I don't think he ever, like, succumbed to the evil that was Lord Voldemort. There was always goodness in him, and that was something that caught me by surprise. So I didn't like him, and then I loved him.
Kevin.
This one's hard for me to answer because I came into Harry Potter so late in the game, so I kind of, like, I didn't get to really let Snape's actions sink in before I knew what he'd been doing all along. But I don't think I ever completely distrusted him because Dumbledore do trust him. Put stock in Dumbledore's opinion. Like anything for Voldemort. I saw evidence of him doing things at Dumbledore's request, but I never saw him do a single thing that comes to mind, at least, for Voldemort. Even in killing Dumbledore, that wasn't for Voldemort or Narcissa, if anybody.
That's my own thing.
I never thought Snape was, like, fully committed. So, you know, hard to tell, obviously. Did a good job.
Okay. Garrett.
Honestly, when I first was introduced to Snape, before I learned that he was protecting Harry from Quirrell and all that stuff, I thought that he was just this, like, patronizing, childish teacher who just didn't like Harry Potter for reasons that we had no idea. You know, he just seemed to judge him because of who he was, and I hated that. And then when I found out that he was protecting Harry at the end of book 1, I was still a little disappointed in him. It sounded like he was doing it just for Dumbledore, like he wasn't really, you know, doing it because he wanted to. And then after you kind of see The Prince's Tale, I don't know, I felt bad for the guy. I felt really sad. You know, it was like he couldn't make his own choices. He was sort of sucked into this obsession and had to deal with it for the rest of his life. And that just made me feel sad, you know? So that's what it was. I was angry and disappointed and then sad.
Zach.
I've always had a really difficult time to peg Snape because clearly he's always being a jerk to Harry. But as the books go on, you learn more and more about how much Dumbledore trusts him, and particularly towards the end. You're like, why does he trust him so much? And the whole time I was wondering, what is he? There's something big, and I had no idea what it was. And finally, when you find out, it's just cathartic. You're like, this is what it was the whole time. That's why. And I understood him. I don't know if I condoned him ever, but I was always just curious about him. You know.
Awesome. So, guys, someone asked what people think about the new writings on Pottermore that is leading up to Fantastic Beasts with the North American magic, history, as well as Ilvermorny and things like that. Zach, why don't you start? What are your thoughts on that new writing that's coming out?
Honestly, I personally haven't checked out a whole lot. I got resorted when new Pottermore came out, but after that, I haven't done too much reading. I've heard about a couple things. I'm really excited every time the new schools. I'm really I love knowing about that. I love that she's expanding the world. So it's exciting. It's definitely getting me more pumped for the movie. But I personally haven't read too much of it myself.
Because Paul, it's not for me. It's the other kid.
Oh, dude. Okay, first let me tell you this, Internet. The new Pottermore quiz is bullshit. I'm sorry, but
I agree.
I'm over that, man.
I agree with you.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Everybody knows the new Pottermore quiz means nothing. You are what you were back in the day when Pottermore got it right, when I was still a Ravenclaw.
Oh.
Something else. We don't have to go into that, but I love magic in North America. I love the expansion of the Harry Potter universe in any way, shape, and form. I also love the wandless casting of African.
I thought that was really cool as well.
I thought that was cool.
Yeah, that is awesome. I want that in my
I
life.
want to see that school in Africa so bad. They sound like such bosses. I mean,
know, right? I want to go to wizard school in Africa.
well, we've already heard that wandless magic is so difficult to do. So if all their students are doing it, it's do not mess with African wizarding school. They are
Don't do it. Yeah, but I'm thumbs down. Pottermore new quiz. Thumbs up. The magic in North America and across the world. Big fan.
Word. That's a good way to put it.
Did you answer the question, Mick, or did you want to add to that?
Oh, what was that? How we feel about Pottermore?
Yeah, about the new writings on Pottermore, about the North American wizarding schools, magic, and all the information leading up to Fantastic Beasts.
Well, first off, let me say, once a Ravenclaw, always a Ravenclaw. It doesn't matter how many times I take that test or who's putting that test out there. Always a Ravenclaw. I am sad to lose my brother Paul over here in my house. I want him back.
It's not real. It's not real.
I'm always
doing it for that reason alone. But I love expanding
the whole
beyond
time.
that, and I can't wait to find out what magic, more about what magic is like in the States and how it differentiates. This is expanding the world in such a huge way, because we always knew that there were wizarding schools elsewhere, but not whether they did things any differently, and whether or not everyone has wands in the same way, if they get sold in the same way, they have the same traditions, the same ways of harnessing magic. So I'm thrilled that we're going to be finding out more and more about that leading up to Fantastic Beasts. That's very exciting. And it's also exciting that Fantastic Beasts is hiring so many American actors, because there are probably so many people who would wait for that movie. A group.
I can think of 5 right now, just off the top of my head, that were unknowns. That'd be great for that film.
Yeah, I think some up and coming actors who have some experience playing Harry Potter characters so well in a Fantastic Beasts movie. If only there were 5 or 6 of them around that were just waiting for phone calls.
Yeah, if only, man.
Kevin, what are your thoughts on the new Pottermore?
We have Fantastic Beasts.
Fantastic Beasts, but Pottermore stuff.
Garrett, quiet. I've been talking.
My microphone sucks. I've been excited. American Hogwarts as soon as I got into Harry Potter. When I found out that there was the Salem Witches Institute school, and because we have Native American cultures we can draw from. We have all the voodoo in the South. There's this. I just thought it would be the coolest world over here in America. And then I think about kind of disrespect kind of go on.
The closer to the mic, the better, Kevin.
Where is he? Which Starbucks? Can you just come here?
I'm already
Your chat is saying you got to upgrade from Windows 98.
At least hit up XP or something.
Yeah, exactly. Get this stuff going on there.
I'm done.
Aww.
All right, let's move on to Garrett.
You know, the new readings reminded me a lot of American Gods, which was a Neil Gaiman book that I loved.
Ow! Great American Gods plug, Garrett. That book is...
Yeah, which I have nothing, like, no, I'm not getting paid to say that. I just really like the book. I wish I was. It did because, you know, Thunderbirds and, like, just this idea of, you know, where different wands come from and, like, the New Orleans wand maker I thought was really interesting. Nomad is weird. I'm not a big fan of that word instead of muggle. I don't know.
Word. It's like moist. It's just not a good word.
Yeah.
I feel like JK almost had less faith in American audiences being able to like America being able to come up with a cool name for non-wizards. Like an awesome name like Muggle that it's like, you know, ingrained in the system. It's like, nah, Americans can't come up with a name like that. How about Nomad? They keep having
That's why we don't use that.
It's an American.
All right, so I got a couple extra questions that I can jump off real quick, and then we'll do another question everyone can answer. Someone asked if I'm going to do more fan films about the Marauders while they're in school. The answer is definitely no. But if we do more Marauders stories, it might be in the form of a radio drama, but no guarantee. We're still trying to figure that out if we're even going to go there. But it would definitely be in the Wizarding lore. We want to move the story forward, not backward. I see you, River Sanders. Don't you worry. Someone was asking about advice on making fan films. My advice is to not take no for an answer and go make it. Now, funding it, you're putting yourself at risk because we put ourselves at risk and we got in a little bit of trouble. We were still able to make the film, but we couldn't raise any more money. So keep that in mind, but otherwise just figure out how to make it no matter what. And when you decide you're going to make it no matter what, you'll figure out all the questions you have for yourself. And here's the next question for everybody. What do you think about the next book, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child? My thought is I hope Albus Severus is a Slytherin, and I hope he helps improve the reputation of Slytherin. Zach.
I'm so excited. I don't know what to expect. Only the future, and I can't wait for it to happen to my eyes and face and thought and brain.
Okay. Paul?
Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. So dope. I came up in the theater. I love the theater, and I'm very much in support of stories being expanded into that medium. I think it's very creative. I'm also hugely behind the casting of like all of the people that they put in it. I think that, I think it's cool to try someone of a different race playing Hermione. I think that's something that was kind of controversial, but actually like it's the same in the same line as Hamilton. Like anybody, this world belongs to everyone, you know. So it's cool to see them branching out from more traditional like castings and going for something that is kind of new and interesting. So I'm stoked. I hope I get to see it. I probably won't get to because it's going to be sold out forever on Broadway.
Yeah, and yeah, it's not a book. It's just a stage play. It's in book form. So, anyways, Mick, go for it.
I agree with Justin. I hope that it revolves around the fact that that his son gets into Slytherin and that we see some positive example of Slytherin come out of it, so that it's because, I mean, Slughorn aside, we don't really have any positive examples of a Slytherin in any of the books, which is a real shame. I mean, we have Peter Pettigrew in Gryffindor that shows that people in Gryffindor can go bad and aren't necessarily heroic, but we don't have enough that really gives a gray area to Slytherin. I think we really, really need that so that it's not just like, you know, young children are getting sorted into houses, and it's like, you child, you are in evil house. You will probably end up being a very evil person now and go and do evil things.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that it takes place with his son. It's from the perspective of Slytherin, and that we see better things come out of Slytherin that make it a more well-rounded house.
Kevin, let's give this a try.
I'm honestly more excited about
Great answer, Kevin.
It was a good try.
Slim chance.
Read the
I'll
script.
speak for Kevin. Kevin just hates all Harry Potter things. He was never written any of the books, and he thinks the movies are terrible, and he'll never see a play with Harry Potter in it, and that's the end of that.
Man, you sounded just like Kevin, Paul. Wow.
Give him 30 seconds. Let's see if he can pull this off.
What, are you talking about me now?
Yes, try again. Shut up, everybody. Shush, shush, shush.
Shut up. I like to see everything that Justin and Nick already said about Albus being a Slytherin. It would be cool to see a little bit of the aftermath. But I mean, this grand epic story that the original 7 books were. What I'm hoping is that he actually becomes kind of evil in regards totally against his father, and then he ends up stabbing him in the stomach while they're standing on a catwalk.
Someone
And
just said that they hope that. No, go
about
ahead.
the galaxy. Yeah.
Sorry, Kevin. Someone just said that they hope James Sirius Potter's in Gryffindor. That's already confirmed. He is in Gryffindor. Garrett, go for it.
I mean, I love plays, man. I'm just excited to see this translated onto the stage. I love reading plays. I'll sit and read it all day. It is going to be interesting. I don't think it's going to be what we expect as fans, just because we've never really seen something like this before. Going from like a 7-book arc to one play, to cover hopefully the same kind of fantastical realm is going to be difficult. But I'm excited, man. I think J.K. Rowling, I think she really understands dynamics and people. She really gets kind of characters, and I'm really stoked to see how she writes that.
Okay, cool. Let's see. So, thank you for your patience, Cracks. We're trying to get to everybody, so we'll answer this real quick, and I'll just let Mick answer this. So, the question is, what do you think that? What are your thoughts on the idea that Snape was abused as a child, and that mental trauma and lack of support could have contributed to his poor choices?
No pressure.
Oh, like I haven't thought of this. I stand firmly behind the idea that monsters are not born, they're created. And that a lot of the problems that he had going into school that made him a target of bullying, his sort of, his inability to act, to be able to socialize and be able to, make friends and be able, the thing that kind of pushed him towards this bad path were all related to growing up in this horrible way with this horrible family and looking for some alternative to that. I think that most people in the Death Eaters either came from this sort of racially infused, pure blood lineage that might have been a good family life, but was all based on this pure blood mentality, or people who just felt so brought down by the system that they were looking for any other alternative. So everything he was experiencing in school is a direct reflection of what he was experiencing at home, and there was no escape for it. So I do think that a lot of his flaws and a lot of his decision-making and everything that came into play was a direct result of that, and that he dealt with those repercussions his entire life. He never got over them. Straight to his death, he was still dealing with how he was raised and the mistakes he made due to that upbringing.
Awesome. By the way, while you were answering that question, it was nothing but Snape and Make It Sexy on the chat. So
The wall of Mick is super sexy. It was great.
Can I just say right now that how surreal it is, especially being the awkward, non-sexy like middle school student with the Harry Potter books who was the most socially awkward-looking, bad acne teenager, to years down the line be called sexy for playing the character that I escaped in middle school. So Thank you. It's a very surreal experience. I don't know what 13-year-old Mick would think of this if he actually knew this was coming up in the future.
Awesome.
He'd be super stoked, is what he'd think. He'd be like, "Yes, I knew it."
Yeah, young you would be very, very happy.
Come on, 12 more years and we'll get there.
All right. So another question was, what's the general feedback on the movie? And the general feedback has been extremely positive. Like, it's like 99% likes to 1% dislikes. The people who have different opinions on our movie have made themselves known for sure, and we respect their opinions absolutely. And it's, again, these guys are totally up to interpretation. But this is our interpretation, and we're really glad that a lot of people have really appreciated it. And the one thing that just makes me so happy is across the board, regardless of how they feel our interpretation of the characters, they really enjoyed how much work went into it and the final result that looked so great. And that is as a result of all the actors and the crew, visual effects, the producer, the director of photography, and everyone who worked on it that made it look so fantastic. So hats off to all those guys. You're welcome, Lily. Thank you for making that amazing reaction video.
Yeah, that
video was awesome.
Yeah, I was right.
What go on with just in the same. Not only that we had a positive response, but that we've gotten reaction videos. People have been tweeting at us and sending us messages every way they can. And they're saying not just nice things, but some really heartfelt stuff. It's, at least for me, it's hitting home. You guys are picking like the fact that someone complimented the scene in which I'm seeing Snape walked away, whatever. I was nervous and I was wrecked the entire process of this film over that one moment. So to hear that you liked it makes my day. It makes my existence. I'm thrilled that you guys like this movie. But thank you.
We're going to spend 10 more minutes answering questions, and then we're going to call it a night. So if you guys got any more questions, let us know. We're pretty much caught up on what everyone was asking, but if you want to ask more, then go for it. And another 10 minutes, so 8:05, 8:06, and then that's it. Are we going to do any more projects together? That is a good question because you never know. Again, the radio drama might happen, but it's not guaranteed.
We are all dying to work with each other again. And we've been willing to bring stuff. Garrett and I, like, we realized it was going to cost more money than we had at the time, but Garrett and I are trying to do a stage production right now called The Pillow Man, which is by Martin McDonough, who did he wrote In Bruges and Seven Psychopaths. So we're trying to pull a stage play together. All of us are talking about working together in some way again. Hopefully we'll be able to get that stuff off the ground because we had a blast working together. And we're having even more fun promoting this film and doing conventions and doing things like this. So we're all keeping our fingers crossed.
It's really pretty lucky. I mean, like, you know, working on a project with such awesome people, you know, it's not just a good movie that came out of it, but, like, I mean, you guys are all my friends, and I really appreciate that. I'd love to work with you guys again. The Pillow Man, we're going to make this happen. But, I mean, who knows, man? Hollywood's a small town, and I hope we get to work together again.
We will probably do a Kickstarter for that at some point in the future, and we'll try to make it worth everybody to invest in. So we'll try to put that one together.
So, Garrett, this is a question for you, Garrett. If James knew about Snape's home life, do you think he would have tried to help him?
Yeah, I'm thinking about that because I saw it too. Honestly, you know, like, there's one thing to have a really terrible home life. It sucks. Like, I'm not trying to say that it's not a catalyst into why you are the way you are, but I feel like James, he really sort of respects people who can grab life by the horns and do what they want. You know, Lily is her own person. That's why he falls in love with her. James is his own person. So I feel like he would understand that Snape had a terrible home life, but he would still not respect the fact that he's become or grown into this person who likes the dark arts, who uses terrible words like mudblood. Like, that's just not, there's no excuse for that. I'm sorry. I think that would be James's response.
Okay, cool. Let's see. Shout out to Magical Unicorn. How long did it take to film the movie? 4 days. What cons will we be at? We'll be at Leviosa in Las Vegas. We might be at Conjuration in Atlanta. Again, this film is pretty popular, but it doesn't make us any money, so it depends on if we can afford to go to these places. Is Paul single? I don't know, Paul. Are you single?
No single. Girlfriends, get at me. Hit me up anywhere you can. I'll marry you if you like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and can cook macaroni and cheese.
Yes, yeah, definitely single.
Drastically single. See me in this corner alone? I don't. My girlfriend's not hanging out with me during this live stream like Garrett. You know, we're not so lucky.
Listen,
right,
you can always go up, Paul.
I'm trying to be respectable, okay? I'm trying to let you guys know.
So another question was, why did I use the Obliviate charm and not Confundus? Confundus confuses the person that's being hit with. Obliviate, he wanted the dude to not remember who he was. Like he's just kind of being cool at that moment. If we do Angel Arts, if we do more of a story, it will be after this event and during the first Pottermore. Someone's screaming crazy on. Tell KikiCon to bring us on.
Yeah.
Is Mick single? I don't know, Mick, are you single?
Garrett.
There you go.
I just needed to know. For somebody else, that's fine.
How is Mick single? I don't know. No, because Mick is married to his career. That's why he's single.
That's
I
true.
got a lot of stuff going on.
There was a question earlier we didn't get to.
Wow, we've been proposed to quite a few times here, Mick. In fact, some people would like us both to marry them. So, I think the options are open.
Yep. Okay, and this will be the last question because it's going to take a little bit of time for each person to answer it. Thank you all so much for all your awesome questions. I really appreciate it. I'm sorry if we couldn't get to all of them. We had a lot in a limited amount of time. But the last question is, how did you guys get interested in Harry Potter? So start with Karen.
I got interested in Harry Potter mostly because I like fantasy books, but the cool thing is that since I was about the same age as Harry when we first started, my mom would read these books to me as a kid. You know, it was like our thing. She liked the books, I liked the books, we'd read them together. And my brother, who's older than me, he hated reading. He thought it was stupid. It was the worst thing ever. But then he would listen to us reading these books, and so he would start to like come in and listen, right? And over time, he got just as invested into these books as we did. And so we really were able to kind of grow up, and like the second book, you know, we got it together. My whole family and I read it in one sitting together out loud to each other, and you know, then we get the books on tape. Like it really kind of helped bring myself and my brother and my mom into like this new kind of hobby that we really love together. You know, we still listen to books on Audible because of Harry Potter. So I was interested because it's a fantasy book, and I fell in love because it, you know, it helped change my life, I guess.
Awesome, Kevin.
Visiting World. That's what for me. Friend and former couple of Universal Studios named J.W. Moore. I was back home visiting Orlando and asked me if he'd seen the new park yet, and I hadn't, and he told me, like, you have to do it. So he went in and showed me everything, and like Harry Potter, I kind of missed the boat on that. Then he brought me into Hogsmeade, and I'm like, oh my god, I get it. This is amazing, and I've been missing out all this time. I didn't understand half of the references and the little details all over that part, but I wanted to understand them so badly, and even if I didn't get them, I still thought it was really cool stuff. Like, I don't know who this Gilderoy Lockhart character was, but he sure seems interesting. So, he just tenured in his Universal Studios Wizarding World. We're just fitting because I'm a theme park nut, so.
Awesome. Mick.
like I said earlier on, it was from getting the books at a young age and not being able to put them down. My dad really encouraged me to read and really wanted to make sure that I was, reading and getting into literature and stuff like that. So when he picked up the book, which was this copy right here, that's what got me into the books, and that's what continued on. And I remember I would lock myself in my room all day and read each one, and when I was done, I'd bring it and bring it to my dad and have him drive me off to the store to buy the new one. And that continued on straight till the last book of me going to the midnight release parties and carrying them around with me and rereading the books that were out over and over and over again until the new book was released. And it was like I said, that was a major part of my childhood. And that really kind of brought me into a lot of the interests I have today. A lot of the reasons I want to act and explore these characters and do the different things I do today is not because I've seen other actors do what they do, but because I've read these books and said, I want to portray this kind of character, whether it was like, Harry Potter books or American Gods or comic books, graphic novels like the Sandman series. Like, those were the big things that shaped me and made me want to get into acting and doing what I do today.
Awesome. Paul, do it.
I honestly got into Harry Potter because everybody at my school was reading them. I was at Riffenberg Elementary, and the 2 most wanted books in the library book checkout wait list were The Stinky Cheese Man and Other Fairly Stupid Fairy Tales, and Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. And when I got my hands on Stinky Cheese Man, I got to read that one first, and then got into Harry Potter. That was the much longer list, was to get on the Harry Potter Sorcerer's Stone list. But I checked that book out from a library. Can you believe that? I checked a book out from the library. And
yeah, it does that anymore.
That was something we all used to do, but that was my first brush with Harry Potter. I have Sorcerer's Stone on VHS. I mean, it's always been like an auxiliary part of my life for close to 2 decades now, I guess. So it's something that I've always been into and will always love. Always. Always.
Go for it.
When I was in elementary school, my best friend picked up the first Harry Potter book, and he said, "This book is really good. I just got it because the cover looked kind of cool." And he read it, and then he gave it to me, and we devoured the first 3. And it wasn't until about 6 months later that everyone in the world was like, "Oh, Harry Potter's the greatest thing ever," and both of us were like, "Yeah, we already read them. Whatever." Yeah,
whatever.
As they came out, we read them. But yeah, I was one of the very first people to read them, at least in America, that didn't even know what it was at the time.
Whoa,
it's cool.
That's amazing. I was one of the first people to read Harry Potter. And look at Mick. Look at this man.
Oh my gosh.
Harry Potter, you guys. This is our thing.
Yeah, right? Is this our thing? This is definitely our thing.
It's kind of our thing.
It's kind of our thing. I mean, I have a custom-made wand that a wand maker made. So, yeah.
A wand maker who also plays Godric Gryffindor in the film.
That's right.
Brandon LaClaw. Look him up.
LaClaw. If he's watching right now, Brandon LaClaw made this wand.
Ooh.
I told him to give him a shout out. I work with Brandon every day. I told him I'd give him a shout out.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for being a part of this, asking questions. Apologies if we didn't get to all your questions. We're down to do other Q&As, but more on the Facebook. So doing live Q&As like this takes a lot of coordination to get everyone in one place all at once. So we're down to talk to you guys on Facebook anytime. So thank you all so much for being a part of this. Thank you guys, the full cast, for being a part of this. I really appreciate it. And we will check you guys again, and we're really thankful that you guys enjoyed the film so much. It was a labor of love for us, and just keep an eye out for what we're going to do next, no matter what it is, because these guys are all incredibly talented people. All right, guys, have a great one. Take care.
Bye.
Bye, thank you.
Bye.